Thank you guys for joining us for this Works with the Next webinar. Today we're going to be speaking with AI-RGUS. And our presenters from AI-RGUS are Joelle and Daniel. So they are going to take control here like always. If you've got any questions, use the Q&A tool, and I'll interject and interrupt them at some point and ask them the questions you guys are asking out there. What the general overview for the presentation, we're going to go over AI-RGUS, what it is, how it benefits you, and then how it works with NX, how it integrates with powered by NX systems, NX Witness VMS, and then we'll go into a live demonstration where Joelle and Daniel will give you a kind of hands-on overview of everything that their product does, and then we'll have a section at the end for Q&A. So the webinar will be at most an hour. So Joelle and Daniel, please take over and tell us about AI-RGUS.
Okay, hello and welcome to our webinar. I would like to give special thanks to Tony and Network Optix for the opportunity and for putting this together. We are excited to show you what we are working on and hope it will be useful to many of you. We are RGUS, and on the line is me, Joelle Grunblatt, the Chief Marketing Officer, and Dr. Daniel Reichman, our CEO and Chief Scientist.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining.
We are an AI company, and it is our mission to ensure you can rely on your cameras to produce the security video you need when you need it the most. Specifically, we use AI to automatically identify if there is a problem with the image from the cameras, such as blur, tilt, glare, block, and low light. We developed this functionality for Duke University, where it has been running since 2017 on their 2,000 plus cameras. It has helped them save time and money on this task and has provided peace of mind. We are here to present this so you can benefit from the same. Without an active camera monitoring system like RGUS, your cameras can have all sorts of view problems. You wouldn't know about it unless you happen to be looking at that camera, or worse, if you go back to review the video, but then it's too late. With RGUS, you will be alerted if the camera view deviates from a reference from the camera. For example, if the camera got tilted or blurred, like the example that are shown here. In this way, you can be proactive about knowing that your camera is producing the images you want and need. So as a case study, Duke University uses RGUS to save time and money while it increased their system reliability. And this is in a nutshell how our software looks like. So now instead of focusing on the whole camera system, you can just look at the sliver of cameras which have camera view problems. Duke University told us they use it since 2017 on their 2,000 plus cameras, and now they spend on average only 5 minutes a day to inspect their 2,000 plus cameras, thanks to RGUS.
So Joelle, like how long were they spending before?
4 or 5 hours a day, and at the time they were they only had 1,000 or 1,100 cameras. That's when they realized that they have a problem and they would like to have an automated solution, and that's when we developed it for them.
So you guys went from doing what 300 minutes a day down to 5 minutes a day?
Yeah.
And they doubled the number of cameras they have.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as we speak to them regularly, 2,000 is not the end for them. They want to increase significantly from there.
Makes sense.
So we said Duke University is using the software since 2017, but we actually just started commercializing RGUS since May of 2019. And because Duke was so happy from the software, they asked the chief scientist of the lab, Daniel, to go ahead and commercialize RGUS. So since May of 2019, as you can see, here are some of our partners. We are focusing on system integrators and distributors, and we have already many signed up, and many are we are still talking to them, and they will sign up soon. And then we talk to some end users just to show that we can work with many vertical markets. We have the city of Durham, city of Las Vegas, we have a temple, we have, of course, Duke University, that's where we started. Then we have a real estate management property, Thomas and Mack, which is very big company here in Las Vegas, and Green Valley Grocery. So like that, we show you that many vertical markets can use the software.
Is there like a particular set of vertical markets or use cases where you guys see you know, your solution adding significant value, like almost immediate, like low-hanging fruit?
Yes, any place where there is regulation regarding cameras, camera ownership, and evidence.
So like that would be like public systems where they have to have like they can only have certain views, or I mean more infrastructure projects. It looks like you're doing a lot of cities.
So public is difficult to say because each city and territory has its own set of rules regarding cameras. I'm thinking more things like a casino, actually, where they have to have cameras in a lot of places. Now, a casino is actually interesting because they'll have a lot of people watching the cameras. But there are other places like property management firms and companies who own big office buildings, office parks, things like that. The insurance companies expect that there would be cameras. Hotels expect there to be cameras. And so any place where there's a lot of foot traffic, a lot of people moving around, you know, where you would expect there to be a lot of cameras, even if there isn't necessarily regulation, it's something that the courts do expect that people have. And that's where we think we can add the most value most quickly.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So now we'll talk a little bit about the product in screenshots, and we'll go into a live demo in a short bit. The solution is browser-based. It works on desktop, mobile, iPad. In addition to checking and showing you the cameras that have some kind of view problem, like we showed before, we also keep track of all that information and present easy to understand statistics. So in this screenshot, we show a 30-day overview of the camera system, a breakdown by the problems by location, by the problems themselves. There's more detailed information, so showing after each day, on each day, what's been the status of the cameras. And finally, you can also dig deeper into each camera to find at a specific location. So at City Hall, which were all the cameras that had a tilt problem. And once you know that there are problems, this information can be associated with any and all other metadata you might have about your cameras, including who installed the cameras at this location. Was there a specific installation method that was used? And in this way, you can make better and more informed purchasing decisions in the future. The way the solution works, it has, we can install it in a couple of ways, on-premise or a fully cloud-based solution. Both are integrated with NX. We use deep learning and AI to monitor the feeds and detect when there's a problem. And we make use of the operator's feedback, which I'll show how that mechanism works in the user interface, but we use that information to improve the predictions from the algorithm. And so the algorithm checks the cameras every 30 to 60 minutes. This is a user configurable parameter, and it checks for feed down, glare, and low light, because these are problems that would and could happen continually. Then once per day, or depending on how much the client's paying anyway, we can check more than that, but once per day, we check whether the view from the camera is blocked, blurred, and tilted, in addition to the other three problems that we check. And once we have that information, we can send email saying, you know, this is the status of your cameras, and you know, do with the information what you will, but now you know that there's a problem. In addition to this, all updates to the software are included. We can customize the implementation and the user interface as needed. And to make clear, we are an AI first company. Our algorithm is the company. And this dashboard and what we're showing you here is a way that we thought is a good way to present that information. But if there are alternative ways that the customer wants to digest the knowledge of camera problems, we can provide that too. In addition to what I've shown you, we have the report that comes in email. It shows the camera location, the camera name, and its health diagnosis. This same information also comes in API format, which is especially useful for larger organizations with ticketing systems. This way they can automate workflows. In addition to this, for NX, we trigger generic events, so you can see notifications from the user, from the NX desktop client immediately. And what we're working on completing now is adding a bookmarking feature, so you can have an automated workflow directly from the NX VMS. When you see that there's a blur problem, or when you see there's a tilt problem, perform such and such actions, notify these people, trigger a ticket, what have you. But all of that is as part of the integration with NX. Oh, I skipped ahead, sorry.
I was about to say, you're about to talk about this.
Yeah, the way to get started is pretty simple, mostly due to how NX is set up. All you need to do, so when you log in, once you log in, before the system starts running, we need to be able to connect to your system. And so all we need is for you to provide to us through our user interface a username and password for your NX system. And so here you see the information from the demo NX system, and that's all that needed to be done. You select from a drop-down NX witness. You say how many cameras you want to have checked, the connection information, and that's it. On the first day, reference images are taken. On the second day, your cameras start getting monitored, and you start getting emails.
And right now, the integration you guys have done, it depends on either a port forwarded URL or a public IP address for one of the servers in the system, right?
Correct. So that's how we are connecting to the demo system. So, and that's what we call the full cloud-based implementation.
Right. On a local level, you would just put an IP address of the server, and then it would point to the server locally on the same network.
Correct. And so when you sign up for the service, you can specify whether you want to connect via the cloud, like we do here in this demo system, or if you would like the solution to run locally. When the solution is running locally, when you indicate that that's how you want it, a button will show up here at the top that says download camera connector. This is a piece of software that runs locally, connects to the cameras, and so to NX Witness locally, and forwards the images for inspection to our servers. And then you can log in online and see the results in the same way. But what's protected is the access to the cameras. They're not, we don't need them to be externally accessible if that's not something you want.
Makes sense.
And so here's a screenshot of one of the cameras in Tony's office, I guess, the demo system. So the cameras show up automatically in the dashboard after the first day of inspection. So as I mentioned, on the first day of inspection, we take pictures. We take a picture from each camera and use that as a reference image. And then you'll see the latest, then on day two, you'll start seeing the latest image for each of the cameras. And then here at the bottom, the operator can rate whether they agree with the algorithm's estimate, or if they see a different problem with it. here's some of the other views as I showed before. But I think it's easier if we go to the live demo. Oh yeah, we'll get back to the benefits later. Let's just jump to the demo so you can see what it looks like.
Sounds good.
So here we already logged in. Okay.
Maybe you log out.
Yeah. So when you log in, pretty simple. The first view, this is the view for a system integrator. So if you're a system integrator and you want to sign up your clients to use Argus, when you log in, this is what you would see. You'd see the list of all the clients that are connected to your service. And up here, you'll see a registration link to sign up new clients. So let me go to that real quick. This is a form. It's pretty basic. All you need to do is tell us this is a link that will be made custom for you, the partner, and that you can send to your clients. The client would then fill out this information. This is where you specify whether you want cloud or on-premise, and we explain what they are over here. The number of cameras, agree to terms of service, and submit. And what happens when you submit is it notifies us automatically that someone signed up for the service and provides payment information. Once payment is processed, the user will receive an email with a way to make a username and password so they can log into the system. And so once that process is done, they can connect to the system. So now let's say we want to look at the cameras from client one, which is a demo system that we have set up. And here, just like we showed in the screenshots, is the list of cameras to look at. If you want to look at all 272 cameras here, you'd click here, you'd see all the cameras. But the home page is showing the cameras that have issues. And so you'll notice that there's a color scheme here, red, orange, green, where green means healthy, no need to look at. Affected is when there is a camera view where the software thinks there's something wrong, but it's not quite sure and doesn't want to diagnose it.
Mm-hmm. And on top of it, maybe in each organizations, it's different. Some organizations can tolerate that kind of view problem. Let's say here in this example, we see it's a blurred image compared to the reference image, but since it's a parking lot and we can still read the stop sign, the organization might approve this image and then say, yeah, for us, it's okay. This image view is still okay. So if we click on okay, right, the image turns green. Now, we still have accountability though, because Argus rated it as an affected view and the operator rated it as a healthy view. So like that, we know what's going on with each image. Now,
just a quick question. So like, what most commonly causes like affected cameras is like weather patterns, like fog, or like a little bit of like condensation on the camera. Are there like specific things that typically occur that are kind of affected versus unwell?
So affected is when there is a change in view. So if a large part of the field of view, for example, has some condensation, or if there's fog, anything that's not changes in objects or anything like that, that's what the AI is used for and filters out those kinds of changes. But when a large part of the image has some kind of scene difference, then it becomes affected, and then it triggers the process of trying to diagnose whether that change is because of blur, block, tilt, glare, low light. And if it's not confident in any of these diagnoses, then it just marks this as affected. If it's confident that it's blurred, it will tell you that.
Got it. So right now it basically is really good at diagnosing blur, tilt, block, glare, fault, and low light. But if it's affected but it doesn't match one of those kind of profiles, then it will put affected up there for you. Is that right?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. And so I'll go through a few examples of unhealthy cameras, show you examples of things that can happen even if you bought the best camera on the market. So here's an example of an extremely blurred image, and it's additionally low light. And here's an example of also a blurred view. It's more subtle, but if you can see that there's a large part of the image that are smudged, and so you might want to know about them. I want to also highlight this specific button here. So here you see an exclamation point. This is to indicate that the reference image was actually not confirmed. And so we will do the comparison against the image, because this was the image taken for that camera on the first day, where the assumption is that there was nothing wrong. But you might want to confirm for your organization that this is a camera that's actually, that this is a valid, good reference image showing the field of view that you're interested in. So you click here, this turns into a check mark, and in this way you can keep track that this is the reference image you want. And well, this is pretty important, because on the basis of this reference image, we will make the decision whether it's a good camera or not. Now, let's say hypothetically, this also was a good reference image. What you can do is you can add this image as an additional reference image for this camera. When you click here, now first this image turns green, because if you added it as a reference image, well, probably it's good. So no need to click on any other buttons. And second, you will be able to scroll through and see there's two images now. And the software will use both of those images for your for the inspection going forward. And so if you want to have multiple reference images for a camera, we support that. If you want to have multiple inspections a day and have different sets of reference images, let's say 2 at 7 a.m. and 3 at 4 p.m., that's not an issue, and you can use the same mechanism to add reference images for the different checks at the different times of day.
Is there a limit to the number of reference images you can have?
Currently, we don't place a limit on that.
Okay.
And in that same way, you can also remove a reference image. There's a warning. You can't remove the last reference image from a camera, obviously. Here's another example of an affected camera, where this is an example of where the infrared view of the camera seems to have, maybe the lens just needs to be cleaned, but at least now you'll know that you probably should clean that lens. Some more examples. Yeah, here a blocked view with trees in front of the lot. Here's an example of a low light camera. And in our next updates, we will add a snooze feature for low light cameras, because there might be some rooms where you know that the room is going to be dark. You don't need our system to let you know about that. So we'll have what we're planning on doing is adding a snooze function for that particular kind of alert. Yeah.
So Jeff asked the question, like, so basically if you set up reference images for daytime and then nighttime, or do it throughout the various lighting like you were just talking about, that's how you would basically teach the AI that a low light vision at night is okay?
Yeah. So the reference image, if you add a dark reference image at night, then we see a dark image at night, we'll know that you're okay with that. Yeah, it's most of the intelligence lies in picking the reference images appropriately.
Right. Okay.
Wanted also to highlight that for each camera view that we see, there is also a history button. So we can check okay, I see here low light, but what happened to this camera for the past 30 days? Or we had one instance of block and we had another instance of low light. So like that, we can keep track of what's going on with that specific camera. And then as we continue, we have multiple different issues that were flagged.
So here it's a case where there's just a bad image capture. So we can detect those and let you know about that. That's what the fault and image capture indicate different conditions of just problems with what we're seeing. Now this could be because there's an issue with taking the image, but not actually with the stored footage. But we highlight it to you because if this is happening consistently, it might indicate some other deeper issues. So anytime that there's a problem with the image, we don't want to gloss over that. We want to make sure you're aware of it so that you might check other systems, other parts of your system to make sure everything's working fine. Here's an example of a very tilted view. Here's an example of a blocked view. And blocked views are interesting because sometimes, like in this image, it could be because of a temporary condition. So what the software does is when it identifies a blocked view, it will continue checking that camera every few minutes to see whether it's still blocked. And if the camera is still blocked after about an hour or so, then it will definitively confirm this image as a blocked view for today. But if during that time that car moved, for example, the car moved, then this image would be considered healthy again. The case of a car is interesting. And another specific example we were told is in a conference hall. So exhibition hall, people come and they put up their banners and flyers. And they were telling us that a specific camera that they know about is always blocked. And then we told them, well, and so they're like, oh, are we going to get notified about that? The answer is yes. Like, oh, but we know it's blocked. Okay. Perhaps you might want to take that as an indication you should move the camera, because we keep track of the fact that, yeah, every week for 3 days of the week, the view from this camera is blurred. You might not pay attention to the fact that it's 3 days a week, every week. We keep track of that with the statistics automatically. And this might be a good reason to actually move the camera once you realize how often this problem is occurring. We obviously identify if cameras not connected. And here's some more examples of tilted views. The other part of this are the statistics. So we showed these in screenshots before. So this is the basic report. Shows you the cameras by location name and the health diagnosis. You can export this information in multiple different formats, including as API, like I mentioned before. Then we have the system overview.
Sorry, just real quick, your API is what? REST based?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can make a call to the server to say what's the latest status of all my cameras, what's the latest status of a specific camera, and it will tell you based on what it's doing. So every hour it's checking if the camera is live, otherwise it will tell you glare, low light, otherwise it will tell you whether the camera was blocked or tilted, depending on what's going on.
And for developers who are interested in getting the API, do you guys have it as like a location with all the calls, or is it more through the interface like you just showed us?
It's once you sign up to the system, it's an endpoint that we can provide documentation for.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, great question. So, the client can have multiple ways of knowing that they have a problem with their camera view. So either they go into the user interface, they get the report by email, and they can have the API. So they can use either or each manner of knowing.
And so in addition to so that's the report and that's the API. So the next three views are the summary statistics. So here you can look at what the system's performance over the last 30 days. Change that to 12 days if you like. You know, whatever is useful to you, but here's a default view of the average performance. Similar view of detailed statistics, so you can look at the outcome of each inspection on a specific day. And finally, yeah, the camera analyzer. So this is if I want to know in general services, you know, what are the problems with each of the cameras there. Apparently, general services is doing very well. In fleet maintenance,
They generally do well, right?
sorry?
I just made a joke. Never mind.
The cameras should be doing generally well. That's true. From all our interviews and our experience, we found that cameras on average have that 50% of cameras will have some kind of view problem each year. And so, and we've been told that's a conservative estimate, but we'll stick at 50%, which means that if you have 1,000 cameras in your system, 500 of them will have had some kind of view problem over the past year. And so this tool is meant to highlight that. So here, if I want to know which were all the cameras in fleet maintenance that have a blur problem, it prunes that list down to the subset of cameras, and you can go through and see what other problems that camera might have had additionally. So here on campus, you want to find all the cameras that have a tilt problem. There you go. And that's the demo in a nutshell. The device manager is what we talked about before. So here, this was a system that was done with Exact Vision. If you're a system integrator that signs up with you, here we have the full list of all the devices we're integrated with. It would only show the devices and software that you support. So in this case, it might be NX Witness, and this was a system that ran locally, so you recognize this kind of local IP address. And here's that button that I talked about. So this is how you would download that piece of software locally that would forward the images to our server for inspection.
The camera connector software, it runs on which OSs?
Currently, we only support Windows.
Okay, so Windows 10, Windows Server.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we can make it work for Unix if needed. That's not a problem. Just right now it's only built for Windows. So as I said, we're very flexible with accommodating these kinds of requests. We take requests as they come in.
Yes, we have the advantage of having Daniel as our CEO and head scientist. He's the PhD in artificial intelligence, so many accommodations, and we can, let's say that whatever we ask Daniel to do, he does it. So no problem with that. So the startup, we accommodate our clients.
Makes sense. All right. So that's pretty much it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right.
We had a few more slides.
Oh yeah, we had a few more slides we wanted to get to.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so the key benefits of integrating ARGUS with NX, increase system reliability and reduce the personal liability. ARGUS highly accurate algorithm consistently identifies unwell cameras, give your customers peace of mind. Inspections runs automatically and regularly, no problems of vacation, sick days, holidays, whatsoever. It's efficient and scalable. The inspections run automatically and regularly. It's artificial intelligence, and for us, it doesn't matter if you have tens, hundreds, thousands, or 10,000 or 100,000 of cameras. On our end, we will only need to add more servers, which we will be very happy to do so. The integration is seamlessly. It's a cloud-based solution, and it's set up automatically. All the setup is automatically on our side. All what we need is the annex information. And it's a recurrent revenue model. It will create a new recurrent revenue stream for your business.
So we showed you that.
Yeah, we went through that. So questions and answers. Okay, the couple came in. They want to know pricing. I think that's a discussion you guys can have by contacting Joelle and them directly. But you guys price it based on the per camera?
Correct.
Right.
So there's a one-time fee for installation and then a recurring cost for the service.
So for specific pricing requests, there'll be contact information for Joelle at the end, and you guys can send her an information. So licensing is based on a setup fee and a per camera license, right?
Yep. Yes, and just to let you know, we run now a special pricing, so please be in touch with us.
Yeah. For Safran asked the question, can I get a recording of the webinar? Yes, Safran, there will be a recording of this webinar and it will be up on YouTube, and we'll put it up so you can download it as well. And then Stefan, you ask, is it cloud-based or is it streaming to the cloud? It's both cloud-based or on-prem. For the on-prem, I don't know if you saw it, Daniel showed the download the connector. And the connector software is installed on Windows OS locally. That allows you to run it on-prem.
And then just to add to that, the reason I didn't click on the button to show you is because there's really nothing to show. You download, you double click, and it runs. You install it and it runs. So
when you install it locally, it's really just a bridge to send the video to the cloud.
Exactly.
You have to have an internet connection.
You need to have an internet connection because the inspection all happens on our servers in the cloud.
Right. So you could say that it's cloud-based. So the on-prem section of it is really just the connector that sends the information to the cloud to make it easier to connect to that system.
Yes.
Right? And also that the people will feel safe that the connection to the cameras or the NX would be locally, so that doesn't run on the internet at all. The only thing that runs on the internet will be the image that we are one image that we are inspecting. That's the only thing that will run on our server.
And the connection is made with SSL over HTTPS, and the server itself is hosted in a secure facility, SOC 2 certified, ISO 27001, 24/7 security.
In the US.
It's US based. So all of that is taken care of. Yes.
Stefan, that was your question. Was it an encrypted connection? I think Daniel just answered it. And then we've answered the on-prem installation, answered the server client question. Bandwidth required to support the inspection.
So that depends on the number of cameras you have, but all we need to be able to, we need to have enough internet to connect to the cameras and send a picture out. So if you have 10,000 cameras, you'll probably want to install the camera connector on a computer with a few cores, and so that we can do a multi-threaded connection and send pictures over faster.
So it really depends on the size of the report that you're generating, right? Based on the number of cameras.
Yeah.
So each camera image would just be a frame from like a 1080p or a 4K image.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
It's Jeff, it's one analysis every 30 minutes for some of the features. It was in the earlier part of the presentation, and it's once per day for some of the other features like blocked, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on which inspection, but they said that they can customize the inspection rate, but that will impact pricing basically, because the more analysis they have to do, obviously the more expensive it's going to be. So there's another question that just came in from Safran, which is, what if it's a closed network from the internet?
So we don't, that's a great question. We don't currently support that. And the reason for it is because as I said before, we're an AI company. Our IP is our company, and it's we're finding ways around the challenge of giving people the functionality of our algorithm while protecting our IP. We're still working out some of these logistics. So for now, the best answer we have, unfortunately, is it depends on the price. Well, it depends on the price. We have considered some logistic ways around this. We'll just have to talk with you. What I will say is that if you have 10 cameras and you have this requirement, we might not be able to make it work. But if it's a larger client, then we can. There's options. There are options.
So it's basically if you got a camera with thousands, if you got a customer with thousands of cameras, then it might be a possibility. But if it's a small site, then not really a possibility.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. If we have customers outside the United States that like Canada that requires all data to reside within Canada, are you able to spin up instances in the host country? Is the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go, Trey. Any more questions, guys? What about Europe?
Yes. As long as there's cooperation from a cloud service over there that has a secure facility where we can, which I know exists, then there's no issue. The internet's a beautiful thing. We can do it all from one place. So.
And Joelle, you're from Belgium, right?
Correct, yes. And I saw that we have some people from Belgium and the Netherlands, and we do speak the languages as well. So
both
French and Dutch. So
yeah, all of you polyglots. Yeah,
exactly. So we can really accommodate all those requests, no problem.
And we can even do this presentation in French or Dutch.
There you go. Any more questions, guys? Well, it looks like we might finish early.
Let's put our information here. Please, guys, if you want to contact us, please.
Another question came in. Can you extend the type of faults?
Can you give us an idea of what type of faults you are talking about?
So, Fran, that's a question back to you. Cybersecurity issues.
So we don't currently analyze things like that. We focus on the camera image and any problems from the camera image.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can't think of many other faults. Settings on the cameras, like somebody's changed the settings away from the cameras.
So those are things that will show up in the picture. For example, if someone changed the white balance, the image will look bad. If someone changed the heat of the image, it's going to
be different than the reference image, right?
Exactly. And so all of that will be categorized as affected.
Frames per second was a follow-up from.
That's a tough one because we're only checking images. So we don't, even if we looked into the recording, we'd have no way of knowing like change of motion in that way at this time.
Well, you can see where the feature requests are going to go though, right? These guys want to see basically more kind of advanced audit trail information for, changes to the system that affect the video.
Right. So these are all things that we can definitely accommodate specifically for network optics because of the information that's exposed through network optics.
Yeah.
So if these are things that are important to you, we can absolutely accommodate.
More importantly, if you've got a customer that wants to pay for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying it in this very specific way because, there's thousands of camera systems and devices and softwares. And we really appreciate network optics because it's easy to work with the software and to integrate with. A lot of the systems don't expose all of this really important and useful information.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you should be able to do a pretty quick API call to see what the initial camera setup was, what the IP address was, and then the frames per second recording and everything. And if it gets modified, you should be able to tell that with your daily report, and then just send a notification saying these camera settings were modified.
Yeah, exactly.
So it should be fairly easy for them to implement, guys. But it's, again, it's coding work and development work. So, you know, we're all in business here. So if there's a business case for it, and there's money attached to it, then it's generally pretty easy to get stuff done.
Yeah, and especially, with the API that we have access to with Network Optix, none of these things are prohibitive.
Do you allow rebranding?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that we see it, there's two ways. One is you can rebrand the user interface as shown today, and we would like to be able to put somewhere powered by Argus, but we can talk about that. And then if the more complicated one, though also something we're open to, is providing the AI functionality directly rather than the whole system. These are conversations we're open to and happy to have.
So basically a way for someone to build it into their own workflow and their own UI and their own user interface, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I think we are done, guys. This presentation will be up on our YouTube channel. The webinar will be recorded and put up there for you guys. If you'd like a copy of it, feel free to email me or marketing@networkoptix.com. We'll get back to you. And thank you very much to Joelle and Daniel for taking the time to introduce AI-RGUS. And get in contact with these guys, if you have any projects where you think you can use this product, or you're interested in doing a larger business discussion with them. We've been using it on our demo system. Like Daniel said earlier, it's not a great example because we only exposed like 5 cameras on the demo user, and they're all somewhat unaffected. But it's definitely giving us back the useful information on those cameras. So thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Tony, and thank you so much for all the attendees. Thank you for coming. It's great talking to you, and all your questions were very valuable. And we are looking forward to continue the conversations with you guys personally. Please contact me at any time. You have here all my information. Follow us on LinkedIn, and we will be happy to assist each one of you personally.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for attending, taking your time out of your day. And thank you, Joelle and Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
Have
a good one. Bye-bye.